Welcome back everyone to the sixth session of the two-day conference on universal ethics for the 21st century towards a common understanding. The theme for the session is Universal Ethics, an alternative manifesto for the future. For the session, I would like to welcome our chairperson, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdula, the Tibet House Director, New Delhi, and the speakers, Venerable Lobsang Jamyangla, founder and director, Tonglen Charitable Trust, Ms. Robin Chaurasia, co-founder, Kranti Mumbai, Professor G. Ravindram, co-founder, The Goodness Project, to kindly take their seats on the dais.
Hello, check, hello.
Now, I would like to request Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdula to kindly proceed with the session.
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. So this is the sixth session. The earlier 5 sessions, what we learned, academically we learned a lot in terms of the universality, the universality or the universal, and the specifics, and the ethics, and so forth, on a larger scale, smaller scale, applications and so forth. So what we have now, this is finally, we need role models. Of course, for a good meal, we need so many ingredients, plus a very skilled cook, the chef. Likewise, the universal ethics, the vision of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to really make it materialize in this world for the betterment of the humanity. What we need, the multifaceted the skills from everywhere, and finally to boil them down all, whether or not universal ethics is possible, whether or not to know what you don't know of the universal ethics, like all these debates. With all this, and finally, we have to live in this world. And we should be happier people. We should not suffer ourselves. We should not create pains on others. And if possible, try to create more happiness on others. Knowing your situation, when somebody smiles at you, you are happy. When somebody frowns at you, you are unhappy. This is the truth. And nobody wants this unhappiness. Everybody wants to praise you. Everybody wants you to say something good about you, to assist you. So this is reality. This is the truth. So with this in mind, and how to really make it happen to yourself and to others. We, on top of all these learnings, these learnings are so precious, very academic. At times we may see them to be so dry academic. It is not at all. But we should not confine ourselves to that part of the world. So that is very important. Plus, the application. For that matter, the application is not that easy. Application, so what we have here, the panelists, they're all the people who apply the universal ethics and who encourage others in this pursuit in their own capacity. And if possible, in future for such programs, we also need people from the government who are in favor of applying this universal ethics, who actually live and embody this universal ethics within themselves, and then on the government level, say the politicians, then the bureaucrats, and the university, the officials, then the professors and so forth. So we need people from all areas and disciplines. So finally, for the youngsters, the good thing about this program, the 2-day program, is of course it's historic. This is what I've been always telling the people who I've met with, said the last 60, 70 years of the establishment of Samye Ling Tibetan settlement here, perhaps this is the first time that the Samye Ling Center's head is organizing the academic program, extremely rich program for the first time, something to do with education. I was jokingly telling Professor Raviji that Professor Raviji and I think here Professor Surya, Professor Suryaji, that you're here in this, you feel one environment. The moment you step out, you will feel another environment. It's a very different environment. You could not see the compatibility of these two environments, but it's a reality. Who made it possible? Our very dear Mr. Pinsola, the head of the settlement. This is amazing. Okay, so we need role models. So the most immediate role model to make it happen, universal ethics, to bring to a light that something strikes my mind of the universal ethics. This is so important. I'm young. Okay, most of you are here. I see that you are very young. I'm so young. I have to carry this message forward. So this is all because of the vision, Mr. Pinsola's vision. So he becomes a role model. And we need more role models in various disciplines. So today, I don't really want to read the biographies here. More than the biographies, I'm connected with each one of them in my own capacity. So I'd like to introduce to you that will be more meaningful. For example, Venerable Jamela to my left hand. And the first time I heard about Tonglen is the school which he started, and it's very interesting. Say he having been trained in the monastic traditional training without being exposed to any modern education and so forth. He happened to be around some slum area. Then he witnessed that there are some young boys and girls, and in a very destitute situation, he was just exploring how can we possibly help them, what's the situation like, whether or not there's some light for them, the future, the career, and so forth. He realized that it's just really so gloomy. Then with this in mind, he came up with the idea of starting some charity. So this is how he came up, started with like 20 students, but 20 children, young children, to whom he really had to give food, then bring them like his own children, and then give education and so forth. And the challenges that he went through, of course, is all because of the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The number one, that you have to get the idea that I should be helping others. So this idea, all the seed, incredibly beautiful, potent seed, was implanted by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Venerable Jamela's mind. So that is the greatest inspiration, and that rekindled his mind of his compassion to help those people. Today, from what I learned, is that he has about like 400 children from the slum area who are now under direct care of the Venerable Jamela and the Tonglen school. All these students, they're being benefited, they get good education, good food, and then the mannerism. And many of them who are more competent, who are more gifted with the intelligence, they got the opportunity to study abroad for medical science, medical science, engineering, and so forth. This is something very inspiring. Just somebody with a good heart, with a vision of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and his good heart, readiness to embark on a universal ethics to help somebody. What is universal ethics? There's nothing really there as concrete as universal ethics. It's the ethics which we learn from all the religions from the non-religions about the good heart. The good heart is universal. Good heart being the source of attraction, good heart being the source of wellness, good thing, say the happiness, flourishing. So that is universal. Whether you're a Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you're Indian or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody loves to feel somebody's love and affection towards you. That is universal. That does not require any religion. Whether you are, say, in religion or non-religion, it doesn't matter. Everybody has to survive, live on the basis of this compassion, this good heart. So this is what Venerable Jamyang has. And we're going to listen to Venerable Jamyang about his work. And then from this, I personally would take his talk more as the role model, serving as role model for me and for all these the young boys and girls, that in future also, that I should leave some imprint before I leave this world. I must leave an imprint of goodness on this earth. So this is what I expect that all of us, particularly the youngsters, and all of us, to take away from this gathering. So, Venerable Jamyang, you have like 15 to 20 minutes.
Hello. So, good afternoon and Trashitili, as well as Namaste. So, me and my two staff, or Tonglen two staff, are very much enjoyed and very happy to participate the conference of Universal Ethics. So we have learned a lot of things from all of you and from all the professors, scholars, Kishila, and a lot of things. And so even this morning we had a lot of discussion in the room. What we have been learned, what is the different view that we had, the other professor had. I think this is a great opportunity that we had, not just only to participate and that we have learned, and as well as we also would like to grow our knowledge and our wisdom on the universal ethics. So I would like to say thank you very much to Tibet House and the Tibetan settlement officers, and as well as all the organizers, so for your invitation. So thank you very much for that. So, and second, I would like to mention, I have not got the opportunity to learn English properly. So since young, even I have not got the opportunity to go to school. So my Tibetan alphabet, I started learn drawing on the ground and the rock. That must be in 1978 and 1979. At that time in Tibet, had a lot of difficulty situations, and both of my parents got thumbs in a lot of difficulty, situations, a lot of things. Maybe
Torture by the communist Chinese, the tortured many of the Tibetans, and then Venerable Jamyang's two parents were involved there to being tortured by the communist Chinese.
Yeah. So the last thing that I remember my parents is still in my mind. So all of us studying in another area, my parents and my parents, relatives on the other side. There were a lot of things happened, and I was very much crying. And then when my mother released from that, so suddenly my mother came and to clean my nose and my tears. That still given my mind very strongly. So, but anyhow, this is just what I want to relate, that I have not got opportunity to learn English. So therefore, some of my sentence could be wrong. Some of my words maybe could be inappropriate. So if there are any kind of these things, please forgive me and make the corrections. And I would like to talk, and I would like to have sort of more like, conversations and dialogues rather than just only speaking. So that is sort of my request, right? And the universal ethics parts. So universal ethics is sort of like an inclusive approach to embrace our shared human inner value. This is what I strongly believe. This is what I explain to our children in Tonglen. This is what we have been talking over like 7 and 8 years with the Tonglen children. So the concept of the universal ethics is amazing, really amazing. When we look into the universal ethics, this is amazing. So that it has the potential to have a happy lives, all the people in the world. So this is the amazing concept, and we are really inspired by the vision of His Holiness. And not just only myself inspired, the children of Tonglen, the slum community and staff, all of us are inspired by this vision. So therefore, Tonglen has adopted the secular ethics is part of our educational philosophy. And we have been always discussing on this, sometimes with official, formally, sometimes informally. And a lot of our children had a great potential, ability at the moment. But this kind of ability and potential are shaped by the universal ethics. So therefore, I would like to express my gratitude and my appreciation and big thank you to His Holiness Dalai Lama. In today's world, many people feel in our everyday life, more and more pressure is put on our shoulder. They face intense anxiety. Because of this, the whole community, including me, sometimes find it difficult to smile, laugh, love, and compassion toward others. So I would like to ask you a question. How do we see ourselves in today's society? Not only to you, that question that we have been asked to Tonglen children, a number of times, how we see ourselves. We have to be reflected, how we see. And a lot of sessions are fall on that. And this kind of the question basically directly linked to the one of the chapter in Beyond Religion of His Holiness book. common humanity subject. So in common humanity, we divide it into 3 sections. One is the how we see ourselves. Second is human consciousness and empathy. The third is happiness and suffering. And the fourth is fundamental equalities. This is the what we educating to the Tonglen children, and step by step, point by point, and deeply discuss. And while we educating these kind of things, we are not just only explaining, we are just not only giving the lecture. We discuss with them. We ask with them, what do you think about that? The point number 1 suggests how we see is sort of like self-awareness. We ask the children, are we aware about ourselves, our consciousness? So a lot of things that we have been asked with the children. So this is the what we are basically so asking to the children. And as well as my question is, how do we see ourselves in today's society? So I would answer this question by using critical insight. We are currently living an amazing modern era of the human civilization, but one in which we must realize we all have many different ways of seeing ourselves, our place in this world. Our difference will inevitably influence our behavior. As I am one of person, 1.3 billion people living in India. I am the one of the person living in India. I am trying to attest my social concern that we all face regardless of our ethnicity, our social status, our religions. The social problem adversely affects our society. In Tonglen, we focus on educating our future generation about social issues by cultivating kindness, empathy, compassion. This is what we do in Tonglen, right? So, before we explain on detail of what we are educating Tonglen and how we educate our children, so I would like to show a short video. So this video is not professional. So last Wednesday, exactly it happened. So I have not asked the teacher that we are going to shoot the video, then we shoot the video, we just make hurry sort of editing, and just I would like to show you. This is just what is happening. And then I have also asked some of the staff to give some comment on that kind of thing. So I have asked with them. So I would like to share with you. This is how we are educating, and how also we are utilizing our time. So a lot of people, and a lot of schools, staff, teachers in different schools, they said, oh, we would like to give education children under universal ethics, but we don't have the time. But we utilize the time, then we have the time. So please show the videos. After that, I will explain more details.
Irrespective of caste, religion, ethnic group, our race, human beings are the
Can you start
holders
from
of.
beginning? Can you start from beginning? Yes.
We all human beings are the holders of same human rights, and we also share the same existence, irrespective of caste, religion, ethnic group, our race, etc.
in Tonglen, we do have 3 special assemblies in a week. One is on Monday, one is on Wednesday, and one is on Friday. And then on Wednesday, we do have Common Humanity as a theme. So during Common Humanity Special Assembly, at that time, we are focusing on the Common Humanity as a theme, and we let the children to understand the definition of common humanity. In generally, under that, we do have a sub-themes and also having the key points. So we selected different types of key points and elaborate them with the children. And with the children to have better understanding, we do a lot of different activities to understand and to have the interesting on the activities. So suppose like this Wednesday, we did about the senses, and the sub-theme on it is so how emotional feelings and thoughts are shaped. So with that one, how we can deal with those feelings and emotions and thoughts, that we just put on the senses.
So then I requested to all of the teachers, please tell to the children according to their mental ability that how our feelings, emotions and thoughts are shaped. And then teachers make the different groups of the children and they do the activity in very well according to their children's mental level with using the object like essence. Some gave them the candy, some gave them the fruits, some take them to the other sides to give them the smell of the different types of things.
When we talk about the senses, it deals from the major organs. Through that way, we distributed the different senses according to children's mental level.
So these were the activities of Wednesday's special assembly in Tonglen, and after that we just try to recapitulate, take the feedback from the students, and there was one more activity. We just try to find out the expression and emotion of the children, so that's why we play a very good song, and then all of the children started dance and they were very happy. And on the suddenly moment I just changed the song and there was one patriotic song. All of the children was just looks like very serious, and when I asked to the children why you were serious when I was playing the song of patriotic song there, then children responded me, okay ma'am, at that time our emotions was, I feel was unpleasant, so that's why my emotions was like that.
Different kind of activities with the different senses, but some are having 2 and some are having 3 senses together as well, because all these factors not necessarily only because of one cause. It might be because of the 3, because of 2, because of 1. So that's why to ensure, let them to understand not only to be a pleasant moment can be not necessary only with one senses, but it might be of all or it might be on one.
So, by understanding the meaning of this same existence, we should promote our brotherhood by practicing kindness and compassion.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Can you turn on the light? Okay. So, as how we see ourselves, the definition that we are giving to the children in Tonglen, and we have been discussed over a month. we see things not as purely they are, but rather how we are based on our experience in life. We don't react to the things happening around us purely on instinct. That's what makes us different from animal and plant. This is what we giving the definition for the children in Tonglen that we have been discussed. So now I would like to explain a little bit more detail and what we are doing, how we did, and how we. So I don't know how much I have the time. Maybe Kishila can you tell? So I also need to be manage the time. I'm very bad to manage the time. Come on, okay. So I have that 5 minutes. So my colleagues and some of the staff sometimes, so when you are in the stage, one of the hardest things is to manage the time. So they always complain. Okay. So now I would like to explain a little bit about the Tonglen. The ethics is so important. So when we start the Tonglen, we were not thinking to educate the children. And we rescue the children from the dying. We have not thought about that. We can set up the hostel, we can set up the school, we can educate the children. At that time, we were rescuing from the dying. So after we put the school, so like some of these children has the very talented and very intelligent. The nature what they have is really amazing and very intelligent. So then once it grow in academically year, so they got a lot of awards from the school, a lot of appreciation. But all of them used to be instinct that all of them that we have all this children. And all of their parents lives in slum community. Still they are living. So it was such a great challenge for us. But at the same time, the education that children receive from the school, that we dissatisfied. We were dissatisfied at that time. And we discussed and we felt that we need to protect the children in the good manners, in the well-being, rather than focusing to have something that to become a doctor, engineering, and something. If they become, that's good. But the objective should be to become a good human being. So therefore, the ethics was the number one. Then, when we were talking about the ethics in 2010, in 2012, generally the slum people, I think most of the slum people has a very little ethics. So, and we concern about it, and that reflect that influence to our children's life as they are connected to their parents. So, when we're talking about the ethics, it was such difficult for us to define what kind of ethics do we need to educate to the children. And many times they have been discussed, and we are confused. And we have the children from the Hindu background. We have the children from the Christianity background. We have the children from the Muslim background. So they are the noblest. So, and then we found the book Beyond the Religions, and this is a perfectly solution for the Tonglen children and Tonglen to educate them, to become them good human beings. So therefore we have taken this thing. So now, what would like to explain about the implementation, the engaging. So yesterday, some of the professors and some of the scholars, and we have been a lot of discuss about the engaging, the importance of the implementation. This is so important. What I would like to share you one thing. So we thought children become ethically if we give education and if we introduce our ethics, if we then link and if we raise awareness the ethics and understanding on ethics, but they have not begun after 4 or 5 years. So it is not only to educate the children, it is important to create the environment entire of the Tonglen, and need to be believed, need to be understanding how and why important of the ethics. So therefore, we encourage the children, we have encouraged the staff, okay, why don't we discuss about the ethics? Why don't we also simultaneously, why don't we talk, and why don't we train, and why don't we organize the sort of workshop for the children regarding on the discernment? The children need to be recognized how important of the discernment, right judgment, right decision. In order to be good human beings, they have to need to take the decision. They need to be understanding on that. So therefore, we have been encouraging the children. We are implementing on this thing, and by doing this kind of thing for several years, children had the more knowledge and more reason to practice the ethics and to put in the daily lives. So now, a lot of university has our students. All of this university saying, your children are different than others. They are not telling they are better than others. They are different than others. They have the better management, and particularly some of the children face the problem in the university, but they are managing the emotion. They are accepting the problem, and they are dealing with it. The ability to deal is different than others. So this is the what we are encouraging our children. This is the what we are educating to the children. And in myself, when I was in the slum community in 2002, we started the project, and I started the project without knowing anything about the Indian culture, language, and customs, and anything. You know why I had to start? We have to think on that. This is also related to the ethics. This is related to the ethics. I had a moral dilemma, ethical moral dilemma. And at that time, in 2002, His Holiness gave teaching in Dharamsala on Chinju. I think Chandi Deva or text or something, right?
It is the text written by 7th century great Indian master by the name Bodhisattva Shantideva. The text is a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, how a compassionate person should deal with the world.
So, and during the teaching, His Holiness talked about the Bodhisattvas, and His Holiness cried. He mentioned the how important of the Bodhisattva. Can you explain?
The compassionate mind, altruistic mind, to become fully awaken yourself to benefit all other sentient beings.
So that moved me so much. And then simultaneously, I saw the slum community, I saw the children. Look, when I was in the slum community, I saw the children were dying, children were eating the food from the dustbin. Children have not received education, even they don't have the clothes. And I came from Tibet. We are refugees. We are refugees. And there's the one big stone. I was like on top of the stone. I was thinking how amazing, how we are fortunate. Even I came from Tibet by the His Holiness blessing, by the leadership of the Tibetan government. I got opportunity to go to the monastery. I got opportunity to go to school. And we have no like such of the situation and having the starvations in the slum, such of this kind of thing. This is what I thought. At the same time, I was feeling that a monk came from Tibet recently, nothing knowing language, culture. How can I start to help them? There are the many Tibetan people who born here. There are a lot of rich Indian in Dharamsala having the big hotel. And there are a lot of people in there. So, is this need to do by me? So I was thinking at that time, is this need to do by me? Then, as a monk, the follower of His Holiness, the student, so how can I make the excuse saying that, oh, I came from Tibet, we are the Tibetan, let them to die. I can make excuse. I don't know the language, I don't have the money. It's their business. It's the Indian people. That's, I felt that it is unethical. By taking over my ethical responsibility, whatever there, I decided to rescue the children from the time. So this is part of the, like sort of like, engage with my personal ethical stance, and as well as the Tonglen children. Look, they have learned a lot of things about the ethics, and for 6 years, 7 years. In 2006, they had a lot of difficulties. The slum need to be evicted, and they have a lot of suffer, particularly the bigger children. They even need to go to the high courts, and also the Human Rights Commission. And all after this happened, I got a letter from the children one day. They said, we have been realized we could be kind. We have been realized we can create the kind, we can make a good environment in Tonglen. But if we don't create the kind in the society, there's no point. We're still going to be victims. In order to change the social issues, difficulty in India, it is not only matter with the money. It is important to change the mindset of people to take responsibility, universal responsibility. This is what they request. After that, we accept as the Tonglen. We were happy the children come up with this kind of idea. So we have a program at the moment, a secular ethics outreach program, or we can even say a universal ethics outreach program. So at the moment, so this program supporting and educating and promoting ethics to Dharamsala community, and over a year, almost more than 100,000 people are connected to the secular ethics website and through the engagement and events, all this kind of thing. And at the moment, the bigger children and staff are engaging almost maybe 11,000 children in Dharamsala, educating in universal ethics. But this is not only done by the Tonglen, the initiative started by the children. So we felt now in secular ethics department sections, we felt. So Tonglen has the vision to help, to educate the children initially stage. Now our children has the vision and we are supporting for our children. I think that's enough. So we are supporting. They have a great desire to help, to make the world better, to create a society, a peaceful, harmonious, and less social issues. So therefore we are supporting. So I will end this, my talk and my discussions. So I hope you understand my English.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, Venerable Lobsang Jamela, for this very inspiring talk. And for sure, not only it inspires the youngsters, the elders also, to see how much what we can do in the future by ourselves, or to inspire others, to support, to give help to others, and so forth. So they finally is coming from the heart. It's coming from the heart. So the Venerable Jamela is encouraging us from various angles. So finally, to build this heart. So finally, this heart decides what are you going to do? Say for yourself, for others, and so forth. Heart decides. And if this heart, the knot of the heart, the self-centered attitude, when that is unentangled, magic can happen. That one person, totally illiterate in terms of modern education, has the capacity to bring up like 400 the youngsters, very young children who had nothing to eat, forget about education, and now they're getting very good education. Some of them become medical doctors, engineers, so forth. So this is a great inspiration from Venerable Jamela. So these are what we call as the role models. So thank you so much, Venerable Jamela, for being. So next we have the Ms. Robin Jorasia, and I've been knowing her for the last few years. And the first time I met her in Dharamsala, Deer Park Institute, she came for one retreat, and she did not say anything about what she was doing. She just attended a retreat, and one day I casually, during the break time, she happened to be there, sitting there and taking tea, and I happened to just ask her, how are you, just to make everybody happy when I meet, not for them, not to feel that he's a teacher there, and no formality, just to break the formality. I just asked, how are you, where are you from? And she mentioned about from Mumbai, and then she mentioned a little bit about what she's doing, and that really inspired me. And then she said, she just asked if, while I was leaving from Deer Park to Delhi, to the airport in the car, she asked that I'm also going at the same time as you, so can we share a car? Of course, yes. And then sharing car, I learned a lot about what she's been doing. It's so inspiring. To make it very quick of who she is, say what she started one center for the girls. The girls who are from the girls who are the daughters, mainly who are the daughters of the people meaning the people who are involved in the red light areas in Mumbai, the most infamous place. And so there she started this charity work to help bring those young girls who are born out of these and the people there. And then herself, of course, what is said here is that she served in USA Air Force, from, of course, born in America, American citizen, and studied there, and served in USA Air Force for 7 years, and worked for Barack Obama, the President Obama's office, for 2 years. She completed her BS Psychology and BA Political Science in Chicago, and Master's MA in Women's Studies in Budapest. And then coming back to India, she started this Kranti Center that was to help the young girls. And then the way the Venerable Jamila is doing to really give food, give education, so forth, the Rubinji, she does the same thing, to give food, education, accommodate everything to the children. And then given that they are from the background which the local people may not necessarily admire, so they are not welcome. So therefore, unlike other places, in her case, she and Kranti has to move from one place to the next place to the next place, like 15 places, like in a year or in 2 years' time, 15 places, because the landlord coming to know that the background of these young girls, the landlord is not happy, and then in the few weeks' time, again kicked off. Again they have to look for another place, displaced from one place to another like this. This is how she, herself being very educated, and she does not have to depend on anything else for her own living, but she is simply there to help these young girls, and this is what she has been struggling for. And then she herself, of course, she being very competent, very educated, and doing such altruistic work. She's been invited by the many entrepreneurs and so forth in order to speak what she's doing, to let the world know what she's doing. And for example, she has been giving TED Talks so many times, and invited to to England, America, to give talks to the public, to create awareness of what she's doing, and to really on the ground to really help the people who are needy. So we have this very young, energetic, dynamic girl, Robinji. So the stage is yours, 20 minutes.
I think he just spoke half of my speech, so I'll only take 10 minutes. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Raise your hand if you're awake. Yeah? Raise your hand if you ate too much at lunch. Raise your hand if you're a little bit sleepy. Okay. You have to be a little bit awake because I'm going to ask you some questions, so be honest, yeah? And by the way, I think I'm probably like the least educated person in this room. I'm the only person I feel these days without a PhD or without a doctor in front of my name. But for all of you young people, I want to tell you I'm the smartest person in the room because I never went for a PhD. So make your choices wisely, okay? All right, great. Can I ask you all to close your eyes for a minute? Please imagine for a minute that you are a 13-year-old girl in a small rural village in India. Your father is a farmer who is 3 lakh in debt, and he often talks about committing suicide. Your mother is ill with TB, so she's mostly in bed, and it's your job to take care of your 3 younger siblings, so you've never gone to school. When the first marriage proposal comes along, when you're 13 years old, your parents agree, saying you're one less mouth to feed. You're married off to a man who's 35 years old, an alcoholic, and can't hold down a job. So by age 15, you have 2 children, and you're doing domestic work, cooking and cleaning in other people's home to support your 2 kids. At the age of 16, your husband's friend says he has a job for you in the city where you will earn 10 times more money and you can send money home every month. And your children will be taken care of too. So you take your children and you go off to the city. And there, he sells you to a brothel. You're given a small bed along with 10 other beds in a very small room. And you have to have sex with 5 to 10 men every day while your children sleep under the bed below you. Please open your eyes. This is, of course, a true story. But my first question for you is, where do you think those kids are now? It's easy to assume that they're also doing sex work, that they're growing up in brothels, that maybe they're married. I would like to show you real quick with a video. You know, I think we started getting so focused on theater because we really realized how much it can be used as a tool for mindset change, like changing people's minds about sex work, about red light areas, about these girls.
डांस करने से मेरा थेरेपी जैसा बढ़ जाता है.
गाना गाती हूँ तो मैं शांत रह पाती हूँ.
मैं एक्टिंग इसलिए कर रही हूँ कि मुझे बहुत पसंद है.
The strength and the ability of human spirit to bounce back.
When I was 10, I was abused. What happened to you when you were 10? What happened to you when you were 10? What happened to you when you were 10?
I spent the first third of your show crying.
The people who don't believe in what we do are never going to believe in what we do.
I really admire you girls for the smile, the braveness to come out and say what has happened in your life.
मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए आप सबको देख के.
मैं थक गई, मेरे पैर थक गए. मैं नहीं नाचूंगा.
The way Jaya's done theatre with them is extremely therapeutic for them.
Thank you for coming to share your story.
Next station, red light area.
अरे लड़की लोग कुछ कमाया कि नहीं कमाया?
100-200 रुपए.
Why do you call it red light area? Again and again.
We want to say, yes, we are from that red light area.
उम्र हो जाते थे लोग को 50-60 रुपए में वो लोग काम करते हैं.
We could all, between us try to explain to them why they should change the way that they think or the way that they talk about themselves, or we can take on the task of changing the world's perspective, and that's what we've chosen to do.
अगले शो में हमारा जहाँ पे भी होगा तुम दोनों का रोल इंटरचेंज होगा.
That can replace the kind that they're receiving now by traveling and interacting with numerous people.
The survivors of trafficking that we meet in New York, and then there's these multi-million-dollar houses in Naperville, Illinois, and the world between those and the difference between those.
वही तो challenging था कि घर ढूंढना, because किसी को भी हमारे background के बारे में पता चलता है तो everyone avoid.
क्यों हम normal जिंदगी नहीं जी सकते?
He sexually abused me when I was young.
हर एक पल याद आ रहा था कि उसने कब मुझे किस जगह पर मारा.
मैं प्राउडली बोलना चाहूँगी कि हाँ, मैं रंडी की बेटी हूँ, बट आज उसकी बेटी बहुत आगे बढ़ी.
Everyone's wounded in some way. Everyone, poor, rich, American, Indian, Asian, white, black, everyone is.
Yes, we are wounded, but you're wounded healers. And so everywhere you go, you heal.
I'm going to take your smiles and use that as my strength all the time.
The real answer is that I just want all of them to live happy lives, right?
मुस्कुराने की वजह
There are some girls who we work with who really struggle with like depression, self-harm. Everything looks nice and pretty on a stage and beautiful in a play, but there's a lot of things that we really, really struggle with. And if those girls can just make it through life without committing suicide, or like if they can just survive life and be happy and quit harming themselves, that's it.
ओरे पिया रे
Aha, okay, cool. So as you can see, obviously that video is about 4 years old. So where are they now? Whoops. Click. Don't click. No worries. I had some photos of the girls, but if they come up, great, and if they don't, no big deal. But basically, one of the girls, the one who's speaking about, we're all wounded, she was the first girl to study abroad. She got a scholarship to New York, was studying there for a couple years, got a scholarship also to sail on Semester at Sea, which is a ship that goes around to 15 different countries over the course of a semester. She got an award from the UN, and now she's studying in Buddhism, believe it or not, at the Institute Lama Tsongkhapa in Italy. Which way am I supposed to be clicking? Can you just do the clicking for me? Yes, there we go, that's her. Next, that way? Yes. Okay, so these are 3 girls who are all sisters. Farah on the far side here is studying in her 3rd year of university in Los Angeles. The middle one is in her 2nd year of university in Chicago, and the one on the end is 16. She's deaf and mute, and she's been studying for the last 3 years at the Model School for the Deaf in Washington, D.C. There we go. Okay, so these 2 girls, one of them studies at a boarding school in just outside London, and one of them studies at Weinberg Allen School in Missouri. All of these kids are on full scholarships that they've earned themselves. These 2 girls, this girl in the video you probably remember says, "Haan, main Randi ki beti hu, but aaj wo bahut aage badh chuki hai." Both of these girls, Sandhya and Ashwini, study on full scholarships at Ashoka University. It's their 1st year, they just started. I could go on and on and on, of course. We have endless girls with amazing, amazing success stories, but that's just to give you an idea. Because what do we think of girls from this community, right? I will try as quickly as possible to summarize for you some of the things that I've learned. I could never possibly explain everything that I've learned while working and doing this work for the past 9 years or so, but there's a lot that I've learned about ethics, let me put it that way. Compassion. Can I just ask all of you guys to take a second and think about the last time that you did something that you thought was an act of compassion? Might be today, might be yesterday, might be a week ago, whenever it was. Right? What does an act of compassion look like to you? Does anyone want to share real quick? 1 person? 2 people? Anyone? Anyone? Any takers? No? No? Come on, guys. I'm going to call on you if you don't raise your hand. Yes, in the back. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we all have a different meaning of compassion, right? But I have learned the definition of compassion from this girl, Sheetal. She came to Kranti at 17 years old, and she had only studied in 4th and 7th standard, and that was it. By the age of 13, she was working as a bar dancer. And when she came to us, we put her in 10th, and she failed. So we put her in 10th again, and she failed again. Then the therapist said, why are you forcing her to do something that she's not excited about? Let her do what she wants. So at the time, she was just learning to play the drums. So we applied to every music school in India, and nobody accepted her at all. Then we applied to 2 in the US and 2 in the UK, and everyone accepted her. So she got a scholarship to go study music in Washington for 9 months. She was there, came back, and started working as a music therapist and drum circle facilitator. Last year, she worked in 25 BMC schools, government schools in Mumbai, with over 700 teenage girls. Today, and many times over the past few years, she's had job offers to work for people for lakhs, to do these drum circles in corporates or in businesses where she can earn 50,000 in 1 drum circle. And she says, I'll do that to pay the bills, but my real passion and interest is with girls from marginalized communities. And that is the only people that I'm ever going to work for in my life. And whenever I think about what compassion means, I always think of Sheetal. It is so easy to come from a place where you were a bar dancer at 13 and say, I want to earn millions. And what does Sheetal say? I want to work for my community and I want to teach marginalized girls for the rest of my life. And that to me has been the biggest lesson in learning how to live with compassion. Forgiveness. Think of a moment where you've forgiven someone, maybe for something small, for stealing your parking spot or whatever it may be, for cutting in front of you in the food line, or something bigger. Does anyone want to share something they've forgiven for recently? Something very small, anything. What is forgiveness? Anyone? Anyone? Oh, guys, you are very, are you still awake? Everyone awake? People in, you again? Yes, please, go ahead. Wonderful, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, this is Tanya. Her mother had 3 daughters. Tanya is the oldest. And when that bed space got a little bit too small, when all 3 girls didn't fit under the bed, she put them all in different orphanages. A few years later, when Tanya was 12 years old, her mother decided to bring the girls home, and she found Tanya, and she found the youngest daughter, who is the one who studies at Weinberg Allen in Missouri, and they never found the middle daughter. When they moved in with this man and her mom disappeared after 2 weeks, just never came, went out to do sex work one night and never came home. And this man said, your mom is dead and now you have to be my wife. For the next 4 years, every single day he raped her. She got pregnant 3 times, had 3 abortions, dropped out of school, and finally at the age of 16, who knows where from, she found the courage, she left behind her 9-year-old sister, and she got up and ran away. Luckily, she made it to Kranti somehow. But one day, after a lot of therapy, but one day she actually woke up and said, I am going to forgive this man. I'm tired of carrying this baggage around, feeling like I'm a victim, feeling like I've been robbed of my entire life because of this incident. And now I can see that had that not happened, had I not run away, I never would have come to Kranti. This girl is now working as a Zumba instructor. She also works only in NGOs, but her biggest dream is to be a flight attendant, and she has an interview in about 2 weeks with Indigo. Generosity. This is the last thing. What does it mean to be generous? Raise your hand if you think you're generous. Oh, Geshe-la, what is this? Good, great, wonderful. I also think of myself as a generous person, but I think I've really learned the true meaning of generosity from this woman. Her name is Zarina. The story that I asked you to close your eyes and imagine at the beginning, that is Zarina's story. But she was not actually 16 when she was trafficked. She was 12, and she started doing sex work at 12. Tanya's mother actually, when this woman died, and I was traveling, and so I called this woman, Zarina, and said, hey, I'm not in Mumbai, can you make some the arrangements of whether it's a cremation or burial, whatever, can you make the arrangements for me? She said, I'm not in the red light area, I'll go there and I'll call you back. 2 hours later, she called me back, and the girls have said this to me many times. I've never seen it with my eyes, but the girls have said, when somebody dies in the red light area, and they don't have any family, their body is just put out on the street for the government to come pick up. Just like the same thing that happens with dead dogs. This woman called me and she said, I've made all the arrangements, don't worry. But Robin, I promise you that every single time that someone dies in the red light area from now on, if she has no family, I will sleep with as many men as I have to sleep with to make sure that she has a proper cremation or burial. We think of ourselves as so generous when we give somebody 10 rupees on the street. That wasn't even chiller, that's a bill, right? We think of ourselves as so generous. I have a question that you don't have to answer. Do you have what it takes in you to say, I'm going to sleep with as many strangers as I have to pay for the cremation or burial of someone I've never met? My answer is no. Absolutely not. Do you have that in you? So the question is, Who are our teachers? Are your teachers maybe it's all the professors in this room, I don't know. Maybe it's your parents, whoever it is. I have been so privileged to see a part of society that all of the world just writes off as illiterate, as stupid, as disgusting, as, not clean. And I've had the most amazing, amazing, amazing teachers within that community. And I would say that the red light area is a place, and sex workers communities are a place where we can find some of the strongest ethics. Because these are people who, without each other and without each other's support system, they don't exist. And every time, I have my hard days as well, believe me. I have to go meet traffickers and I have to negotiate with them that I will pay you so you give this girl to me instead of selling her off. And in those times, I think of Sheetal's compassion and I say, if she can dedicate her whole life to working for this community, what's the big deal? I can show compassion to this one person, right? I have nights where I've been taken by the police and beaten up in jail all night until 5 in the morning. And at that time, I think of Tanya and I say, if somebody who can forgive a person who's raped them for 4 years every day, I can certainly forgive the policewoman who's beating me right now. When I have those moments of, I don't know if I can do any more, because my generosity is not in money. Zarina doesn't have any money and I don't have money either, so I understand that. But my generosity comes in time. And when it's 1 a.m. and it's been a long day and it's finally time to go to sleep and somebody calls with an emergency and says, can I come over to Kranti right now with my 3 daughters? I say, okay, if Zarina can be this generous with her body and her time, I can also be generous, right? So these women and girls have literally become my inspiration to see how do we become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. So today I just want to leave you with a couple questions, and that is questions that we need to ask ourselves. How can I be more compassionate today than I was yesterday? Who can I forgive today? And lastly, how can I expand my circle of generosity? I think there's been a lot of discussion the past day and a half about our circle, our friends, our family, our community, maybe our country, but everything else out there is the other, right? How can we expand our circle so that just like Zarina, we can say, I will sleep with as many people as it takes to pay for the cremation or burial of somebody I've never met? That is the type of generosity and ethics that I would like to ask all of you and myself to inspire to. Thank you. Thank you all, thank you, thank you. Thank you, of course, to the girls and women that I've worked with. I owe them everything in the world, and they're the best teachers on earth. And lastly, of course, thank you to all the teachers that we have amongst us. I think many of you would agree, if I can say honestly, I owe Geshe-la my entire life. I mean, the messages that I sent to him. My mother passed away about 2-3 weeks ago. Another of the women that I work with, one of the sex workers, was having her leg amputated yesterday because of cancer. And I'm constantly just messaging Geshe-la every single day, will you pray for this woman, pray for this person, pray for that person, send, and then he sends me all these long lists of explain the 4 seals to this person. And I'm like, what? I don't know that. How can I explain it to someone else? But it's been such a blessing to have access to somebody like Geshe-la, and I'm sure all of you completely agree. So thank you for getting us all here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robinji. Thank you so much for this very inspiring talk. And perhaps many of us being from well-off family, very good education, your parents, very kind, to make sure that you have not even seen such these situations. And today we are learning all these things from the Robinji, from Venerable the Chamyangla, of what they did. So the questions may be striking you which never hit you before, that am I in a position to do such things? These questions may come to you. And some of you might even feel a little guilt, might have a little bit of guilt, including myself, not only you. Say, okay, the money that I've been using just for, say, I go to Starbucks and spend like 500 rupees for nothing. And for these small children who they are feeding, who they are working for, this 500 rupees means 1 month ration for them. So what am I doing? What I'm doing is really not fair. So I'm really horrible person. So okay, so should such thoughts come to you, this itself is a great indication that you have a beautiful heart. If you don't have this heart, this thought, even this feeling which seemed to be like guilt, even that will not come to you. The fact that that is coming, and the fact that some thought, okay, I should also be doing something. If these thoughts are coming, you have a beautiful heart. The only thing is that we require opportunity for this heart to come out. So when we are in our own ghetto or in cocoon, then we don't see these things. When you come to such a program, and then we meet with such inspiring people who really work on the ground, there then we realize that, okay, I can also make a difference to the world. I also have the capacity. So this must be the inspiration that we should take from these great inspiring people. And then from this, if you ask more questions, one is, how come that these, for example, this girl, very young and very educated, and then with such a privileged situation in America, and still coming here and working with such a situation, being beaten up by the female cops for a whole night and so forth. So how come that this girl, the heart, how come that this girl has this heart? Okay, why not me? If these thoughts are coming to us, the point is that how come that they're able to do such things on a large scale, like what Rubenji is doing, what Venerable Jamala is doing, on large scale what they've been doing. So why am I not able to do that? This question. If that comes, we'll see that people have different, what we say is that the facets, multiple facets to life. Some have their own strengths, and the point is that all should boil down to the good heart. So from this, taking them as an incredibly great inspiration for us to our leading a very meaningful life, the point is that finally, where to start? Start at home. Charity begins at home. So build the heart from your home. So for this, we need information. We need to know this. And then not only they say we are just, overall speaking, this is a beautiful program, incredibly beautiful program. Again, somebody with the heart started this. Mr. Pinsola, he started this, and then we have Kavirila, who really works so hard. So these are the people, so kind to bring everybody together, and then for the youngsters to get the opportunity to meet with these very inspiring individuals. Otherwise, we will never have had the opportunity to meet with these inspiring people. And then we are in our own ghettos, when you don't get a breakfast, when the cereal is missing, well, I don't want to have this because the cereal is missing, the milk is missing, no, I don't want to drink the milk, and you then spill the milk in the toilet, right? So, whereas some children, they have not even seen what milk is. So, the point is that we have to start somewhere. We have to seek inspiration. For this, we need to get information. Information is so precious, and how you use this, it entirely depends on the individual. And for that, we need inspiration. Information, how to navigate this information, where, in which direction. For that, we need inspirations. And these inspirations, don't keep it to yourself, must spread it. Must spread it to your family members, your mother, your father. Tell them about what Venerable Janalai is doing, what the Rubenji is doing. Just share with them, and share the same thing with your siblings. And otherwise, I'm sure that many of the people, the family members, they might have thought that, oh, again, this is something, who organized the conference? Samyeling, Tibetan ceremony, oh, that's fine. Then what? Tibet House, again, is some religious. No, there's nothing to do with religiosity. So this information must be passed down, because you have seen role models. So how you pass on the information and how the book passes down the information is going to be very different. How you pass down the information is going to be very powerful. So now the thing is that we should think of not only just your family, but to think of the world at large. To not only to bring about change within a small family, community, and then eventually to the world at large. For that matter, we need again very different facet of thought process and visions, plannings, good heart. So for that matter, we have today with us Professor Ravindraji from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and how he has been involved in this universal ethics is that he first, of course, he will speak more on this. He's been so inspired by His Holiness, how he will share with us later on. And then we got connected, and I was so inspired that initially we were about like 4 or 5 people together, starting with some apps. And then finally, the people coming together is not really feasible. It's not really viable. And then finally, Professor Ravindraji, he took it on himself, and then he was thinking of promoting the universal ethics, the vision of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to like 3 million people. And then, there's a Tibetan expression which says that the son is more exuberant than the father, and the grandson is even more exuberant than the son. So daughter is more exuberant than the mother, and the granddaughter is even more exuberant than the daughters. So from this, his son then came into the scene, Varunji. He came on the scene, and he said that he was listening to what his father is saying. To 3 million people, he's going to spread this message of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, universal ethics, to 3 million people. And the son said, just 3 million. Then he said 300 million. Okay, this is what we are. So we say they're coming together in this platform. We see that the world is not gloomy. The world is not dark. There are many good people who are selflessly working for the world, for the goodness of the world. So the 2 role models here. Now how to spread this message. Each one of us, we should be like angels to bring this message to the world. And then we have Dr. Ravindraji, who's going to bring this message on the world on a large scale, like 3 million the human beings. Okay, so let us give a big round of applause to Dr. Ravindraji to invite him to speak. Yeah.
Say after me. I have this ability to put myself in another person's place. Is this true? Is this true for all of you? You just said it. Not true? I have this ability to put myself in others' place. True? Okay, now I'll say this another sentence. I like to be treated with kindness and fairness.
I like to be treated with kindness.
Is there anybody here who does not like to be treated with fairness and kindness? Anyone? One person. Okay, we'll park this here and we'll come back. But there's this huge feeling of unfairness that I'm sitting with. How does one follow a presentation like that? At one level, I'm gagging. At one level, I can't hold my emotions back. I'm no Geshe-la or a learned one. My emotions are all over the place. I thought I will say something, and I know that I'm saying something completely different to what I had planned and wanted to say. So how does one follow that? I think by doing my own thing. I can't follow that. The last time I heard Robin, the one thing that did happen is what Geshe-la said. I said, if she could do this much, what I'm doing is nothing in comparison. I should do a lot more. And where do you think I am today? I thought I was doing a lot more. Again, it's gone psh. But here is the resolve. Who's my teacher? You're my teacher. We will do a lot more than what I thought I will share with you here. And so let me run through this. How does this work? Up button. Am I holding it right? Yeah, I think it's working. This way? And where do I point? At you? At the screen? At the screen? Okay. I'm going to limit myself to what I was told to do. Making the connection, an alternate manifesto for the future. Yeah? And it's all about the Goodness Project. It's going the other way. All right, the brief for this session was simple. Whether His Holiness the Dalai Lama's concept of secular ethics that are universal is utopian or feasible. Now please read that pamphlet that has been given to you. That is the brief. And secondly, what made you initiate the Goodness Project? Easy. Is His Holiness' dream and concept of universal ethics utopian? Yes, it is utopian. Is it feasible? Yes, it's feasible. What made us initiate the Goodness Project? Because I'm scared to use that word belief now after the morning session. But I do believe it is more than feasible. Okay? I hope it's the truth too. Yeah? Why do I say that? Geshe-la lovingly refers to me as professor. It's an honorary tag that is attached to me thanks to my doing a little bit of work at the Tata Institute. I do teach, but more than that, I coach children in sports and athletics. That's what I do. But in the last 3 years, we've tried to understand what universal ethics is all about. And when we started and where I am today, I think this is what I want to share with you. What is universal is those 2 sentences you said right at the beginning. So your question in the morning, my dear girl, universal? People say, my experience of universal is, wherever I have gone and spoken to people like this, or in public, or stadium full of people, and I have asked them this question, is there anyone here who does not like to be treated with fairness and kindness? Not one hand has gone up. And wherever I have asked the first question, do you have the ability to put yourself in another person's place? Again, universally, everywhere, everyone has said yes. This is universal, right? Now, when I say ethics, what do you understand by ethics? One word? Google karo. Ethics mane kya? Huh? Right conduct. Thank God you didn't say integrity, because it has nothing to do with integrity. It's a set of moral things. You know, the ability to know right from wrong, the ability to say right from wrong. It's a code. That code has evolved. When a child is born, what does the father expect from the child? There's something that happens to them, right? So if these 2 traits, that's what common humanity is all about. And I'm telling you, thanks to about 45 people all across, mostly in this country, we learned that you can break down that whole mountains of knowledge in terms of what universal ethics is and break it down to 2. That's my experience. 2 simple things. I have this ability to put myself in the other's place, and I love to be treated with fairness and compassion. If I can leverage these 2 things into my life and make it a code by which I live, the world will become a better place. This, to me, folks, is universal ethics. So that's where the Goodness Project started. Again, same story, another mountain you break down. There are books written on it, and I know there are volumes and volumes of videos, but to me, this code has just 3 steps. There is a 4th step, but I'm not going into the 4th step. One is there are a lot of negative emotions that I have. Can I restrain them? Now, this is sounding like a class, but don't worry, we'll move to more exciting things very quickly. This is why the Goodness Project happened. When we realized that you can either have an overwhelming concept like universal ethics, and people start wondering, what is this? Or you can tell it in very simple terms. I have negative emotions, can I restrain them? Right? I have virtues, can I bring them out? And when I look at anybody, anything, can I look at it and behave compassionately? That's, to me, what universal ethics is. Next, what is compassion? I put it up there because I didn't want to do a striptease, but I said compassion. What does compassion mean to you? Invariably we say, what is compassion? Don't read what is there. What words come to your mind? Helping other people. Thank you for saying helping other people, because mostly people end up, in your WhatsApp messages, what do you get? You get a fantastic story and you say how lovely, how inspiring, and then go back to doing whatever you're doing, right? You read a Facebook story, somebody's post, and you say, oh, I wish I could be like that, and go back to doing whatever you're doing. To us, understanding of compassion was feeling that, but doing something about it. As long as you don't do it, it is just empathy. It is not compassion. That was our understanding. So, in the last 3 years, we have these 4 sentences on which we said we will build the Goodness Project. So, what is the alternate manifesto that Kaveri ji asked us to talk about? The Goodness Project alternate manifesto is based on a few things. One, when we talk universal ethics and when we talk compassion, keep it simple. The first time I was introduced to the word, despite having retired and despite being a teacher, professor, I did say, oh, I think I know what it is, but had anybody questioned me, I wouldn't have given you a succinct answer. So if I did not know what universal ethics is, how am I going to practice it? And if we want to take this to a large number of people, you might as well keep it simple. I won't add after that. Content. Make it tangible. How many marks did you get in school? Anyone? Kaveri? Huh? Anyone? How many marks did you get in school? In English? In your class 10? 80, thank you. Thank you. How many floors are there in this building? How many parents do we have? How many children do we have? How many eggs did you have for breakfast, or rotis did you have for breakfast? Come on. 1. Everything that we talk about, we do well. How did you do at your work today? Last year? What rating did you get for your performance? Everything is made tangible. But when you talk compassion, how compassionate are you? How compassionate are you, Mr. 80? No, behind you. You were 79 and 85. Yeah? You said 80, right? Huh? Who said 80? You said 80. How compassionate are you? Average. So something as important that is there in all of us, when we ask us how compassionate we are, we actually land up saying, "Theek hai, average." I am compassionate, but are you more compassionate than the other person? I don't know. How compassionate is he or she? You're getting into because it is very intangible. I come from an industry background, 40 years there, and the one thing I've learned, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. What is packaged well is what you take. Think about it. Whatever you have taken in your real life today, yesterday, given a choice, invariably your first response is to go to something that is packaged well, something that is presented well. Yes, after that you will read the labels behind, and there again, if it is written in bold letters, you'll prefer it. If it is written in fine print, you may say कि शायद cheating कर रहा है, तो निकाल देंगे, right? But what is the importance of packaging? I don't want to undermine. Positioning. This is the manifesto. We are talking of an alternate manifesto. You're already doing many things. We are talking of an alternate manifesto. With respect to all you studied people, the first time I came across this forum, the word that shattered me was suffering. I didn't know how to handle that word. Because to me, I'm full of hope. I talk betterment. If there is something not adequate, something bad, I think it can be improved. And that's what I would like to do. I don't want to sit down, mathe pe haath rakh ke ki, oh my God, ab kya karoon? No. I mean this very respectfully. Because when I'm talking of an alternate manifesto, we're not talking to 65-year-olds like me. We are talking to 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds like you guys. You want to give them hope, or you want to get them depressed? What do you want to do? So keep whatever we are talking about positive, hopeful. Delivery. When is the last time is anybody reading a book now? Today, nowadays in your life? Yes? 5, 6 out of 70 people? 8, 10 out of 70 people? How many people don't have a mobile in this room? How many people don't access your messages in this room? Oh, one hand went up. Yeah. That's the reality. And he is definitely not 25, 30. Look at him. The reality is, it is a tool of the trade. Now here is a real story. The actual inspiration for the Goodness Project came from His Holiness. We had launched a program on secular ethics at the Tata Institute, and His Holiness came to deliver the inaugural lecture. And wonderful lecture, everything happened. I had the privilege of sitting down with my director for lunch with them. And during the course of the discussion, like I said, I'm not from this space. Something happened, and I said, yeah, but what we are doing, we have 30 students in postgraduate classes, and you're going to teach them for about 6 hours a month. How is it going to make any difference? Obviously, the director got slightly offended and said, no, but you know what? There are 30 vice chancellors who have come and listened to this. They will take it to their students. So I said, all right, 30 vice chancellors. How many students? Again, 30, 300 bhi laga lo. So 30 into 300, how many people? 9,000. How long is it going to take? 1 year. How many people in this world? Hey, this at least you know. 7 billion. Billion, not million. And you're covering 9,000 people in 1 year. Where does this go? So what would you do? I said, sabke haath mein mobile hai. Mobile pe karo. Obviously, the first thing that Dr. Anita is not here. Is she here? She's gone? Okay. During lunch, she asked an interesting question. She actually said, the response normally to anything like this is, but it's such a distracting, not evil, but such a distracting thing, mobile. It has intruded into our lives. How can anybody learn anything like ethics and compassion on the mobile? The first response. Proof of the pudding is, thanks to Geshe-la, last January 26th, when we launched the Goodness app, yes, the figures that he talked about we did say, but we had an objective. We touched 30,000 people in the first month. In the second month, it went out of hand because we got responses from the Orissa government saying, can you give this to me in Oriya language? Right? We had, incidentally, most of the people who responded, a large section of the people were from outside the country. And the content that we had put as an awareness campaign for universal ethics was to Indian situations. They didn't relate with it. Can you globalize the content? So you said somebody had, they put their limited savings. I put my limited post-tax paid retiral savings into this project. Now, how the hell do you make all these changes? We were stuck. But the story is, we decided that we need to make this a lot more inclusive. We can't keep anybody out of this. Anybody who wants to come in with content, welcome them. So we started with 2 people, it became 35. We have about 300 scholars across the country, now I want to say outside the country too, who are actually telling us what content should be put in here. And this content is not restricted to any one religion or any other. Manifesto, again, Kaveri, I'm staying to point. This is just to tell you that there is an alternate way to do this. You have heard enough about what people are doing and how it can be, and they've been doing it in the past. I'm telling you of what can be done in the future, right? What can be done in the future? Focus it. There is one thing, you can try and do the 7 billion at one shot. God help you. When you go hunting, is it a right for him to talk hunting? When you go hunting and you want a mango for breakfast, what would you do? Not hunting, when you go foraging into the forest for breakfast and you want a mango, what would you do? Simple here, you'd go to a mango tree and pluck a mango, right? You won't shoot at a fig tree, you won't shoot at a coconut tree, right? So, if there is something very specific on your agenda is to take the message of universal ethics and compassion to a certain set of people, sharp focus it. We decided, thanks to our background, that we will take it to businesses and industry first, before we go into society. That's the segment-wise focus that we talked about. So that's the Goodness Project. We repositioned this whole thing as not something soft, NGO-driven, jhola wearing, chappal wearing. No. This will be a gold standard, world-class product which is focused on different segments. For teachers, we will have a separate app, for a separate part of the app. For employees in companies, we will take it separately. For students, we will have it differently. But we will position this as something that is essential, not disembedded from society. Remember the morning dialogue. There was a lady who mentioned this. Economy and society. Economy seems to be disembedded from society. It went home. Because in business, compassion is a bad word. That is what was being positioned. I've been in industry all my life. I think I'm a business leader. Compassion is not a bad word. Do we have the courage to take it to them and tell them their business is here to serve society, and society is not here to be exploited by business. Whether it is a Kirana Dukan, whether it is McDonald's, or it is Coca-Cola, it's the same message. Now, most of you are working in, have some work experience. Think about your organization. If you were to take the message of universal ethics and compassion to them, what is their first response going to be? Oh, ye koi HR ka cheez hai. It will start with that, right? How does it impact my results? We now have adequate material to take it to a Tata, to a Birla, to a Narayan Murthy, and tell them that the triple bottom line, profit, planet, and people, all three make sense. You take one of those P out and you will disappear. There is enough research data available to say that this will happen. Now, why did we do this? We did this very simply because it is our belief that most of our parents, they want us to be educated, right? And after education, what? Sorry? Get a job. Get a job, right? So a job is aspirational. Now, if that space, and how long are you going to be in that job? Decades, years, practically all your life till you retire, in many different jobs. And in that job space, if you don't talk compassion, if you don't talk ethics, where will you be talking? Why? You're wasting your time. So let us summon up courage and take the message of compassion into business, right? But in order to do that, So no longer is compassion a soft subject. We are hard focusing it that if you're compassionate, your results will improve. That is the positioning that we want to do. And exactly the same. You've all heard of happiness index. Yes? Which is the happy country in the world? Bhutan. Which is the most compassionate country in the world? Why? Happiness is more important than compassion? Happiness is the end result of compassion, and you do not have a measure for compassion. So we moved the Goodness Project. I'm running because I can see Gisela is going to put up in say 5 minutes. There's no rocket science here. It's very, very, very simple. But that's what I want to come to. What am I trying to tell here? We started with an awareness campaign to spread the word of universal ethics. Thanks to, and we also could have sat down and said, yeah, we are inspired by Robin's story. Yeah, good story. But I want to give, it's difficult to speak. If I'm really inspired, then I will take that inspiration and convert it into positive action. That is what we are preaching. We had to practice it ourselves. I'm no Gandhi, but that's the belief. Belief again. Yeah? So we said, is it possible to measure compassion? We set up a study group. We got some researchers, again, you needed PhD people. We put them together from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and they came up with a simple tool, like you have many tools to measure, including compassion, risk analysis, Bloomberg index, right? You have all these things happening. So create a compassion index for institutions and look at a compassion quotient. You know what's IQ? What's IQ? Do you know your numbers? Does anyone know their IQ? Because as a concept, it has disappeared. We are more reliant on school marks than IQ, right? But there's something else new that has come up. EQ. What's EQ? So we're now talking, can we have a CQ? Huh? Yeah, a compassion quotient. And take it and make it as a benchmark, because jo dikhta hai so bikhta hai ek jagah par hai. One something that is tangible. You can actually say, I was 30 yesterday, I want to become 35 by tomorrow. 60 is where I want to go. He is 90. Wow. I'd like to learn from him as to how can I get there. It is a way to benchmark with each other and move forward. And what do we do? How do we do that? You can only do that if you take compassionate action. So if you take compassionate action, how do you report it? So the Goodness Super App is our next venture. During lunchtime, we mentioned that this is a 3-month, 100-day project. We don't take on anything that can't be done in 100 days. So the Goodness app today is an awareness campaign which is available. And it's a free download. There is a certification at the end of it that is available. The benchmark compassion quotient and compassion index is currently being pre-piloted and will be ready sometime by mid-April. And the Compassion Super App, which is really, what is Facebook? What is Facebook? What is Facebook? It's a social networking site. And what do you do there? So we're actually talking of daring to talk of a compassion social network, where compassion stories can be hosted, where compassion practices can be put up there, where you can actually form your own compassion groups, project groups. There will be technology support available for you to actually, 5, 6 of you, you have a problem in terms of, let's say, dogs in your neighborhood, right? We have defined compassion very clearly. It also includes plants and animals. That is the second level of compassion. So having said that, how do we take care of this? So 15 of us, boys, girls, get together, The project tool is available. You can decide that मैं ये करूँगा, वो ये करेगा, this person will do this. There is a timeline. All of you who have done any bit of project management know. You can do it on WhatsApp today. But I'm not, WhatsApp is very useful, but WhatsApp is also completely unsecured. We are now talking of a secure platform, a technology platform that can actually help you post your compassion stories. How many of you know TikTok? How many of you have used TikTok? One, wonderful. Two, you have used TikTok. Wonderful. We're now talking of a TikTok-like thing which can actually help you get your compassion stories out there. Why should we do this? Because when you post a story that you have done, an action that you have taken, how do you feel? How do you feel? You feel good. When you read somebody else's story, how do you feel? You feel, yes, you feel inspired. But at the base level, you feel good, right? So it's a simple thing that I put up a story, I feel good. You read my story, you feel good. You share it with others, they feel good. What is a simpler way to get happiness back into every space of life, including the community? This was the other bit. Kaveri insisted we should talk of the challenges. The first challenge is we'll end up thinking small, right? If you think big, you know how much was the Avengers, the movie? Avengers, there's a movie, Avengers Endgame or something. You know what's the marketing budget of that movie? Take a guess, come on. Huh? 300 million rupees? It's 200 million USD. Abhi, into 70 kar lo, 14,400 crores for a blooming movie. And for something like compassion, we can't think that big. Why? Because it will change the world. I'm saying we need to start looking at these things not on the back foot, but we need to go out there and say, these are big things and it can be done. We can think very big on things like compassion. Staying the course, big one. Wabi-sabi is a Japanese understanding which basically says, I learned this with my dentist. While he was doing something, he showed me a mirror and he says, "Theek hai." I said, what do you think? He said, no, ye thoda idhar udhar kuch grind karna padega. I said, no, this looks good. He said, but it's imperfect. But you know what, I like what you're saying, let it be imperfect. Apparently, there is a whole Japanese tradition which says, in imperfection lies excellence. Now, if I sit down to wait to get the perfect definition of compassion and get that perfect God's gift to mankind instrument that can measure compassion, not me, my son or my grandson, we'll just keep waiting. I think the time has come when we can actually use a thermometer method. A thermometer doesn't tell you if you have some major illness, but it at least tells you that you're ill or you're okay, right? So wabi-sabi is that. It's the biggest challenge. Tokenism, the lip service that we get. Oh, what a wonderful idea. Abhe, hatke kuch karo uske bare mein. You know, because like I said, and strangely, the more we push, the more we are realizing people want to. They're hesitating because the area is not attractive. Had this been in the e-commerce space or had this been in the artificial intelligence space, chances are we would get support. But because it is in the compassion space, it is a soft thing. But we're getting some support there. And last but not the least, the biggest challenge is it getting identified with one religion. And I think all of you are familiar with it. This whole thing started thanks to His Holiness. And it is his book, which has just 2 words on it, which says Beyond Religion. It tells us the story. It's about inclusiveness. It is about everyone has their space. Ignorance is not a crime. Ignorance needs to be moved with tolerance. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of where Goodness Project is wanting to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Raviji. Thank you so much. So I'm just wondering, because of constraint of time, if there is one or two questions, I'll be happy to welcome. And please specify who your question is directed to. Okay, anyone? Very quick. By the way, this Goodness app, trying to somehow get information from Professor Ravindraji as to how to download this. It is for free.
Yes, it is free. It's both on Play Store and Google, whatever.
Okay, any more questions? Any questions? Yes.
Yeah. My name is Suhail and I'm from Shivnada University. Thank you all of you for this thought-provoking conference. Thank you, ma'am, Robin, ma'am. It was amazing to see this presentation and get exposed to new things. And one question who are our teachers? I would like to ask this very same question, that who are our teachers really? We go into education institutions, whatever educational institutions we go to, they are trying to make us mechanic beings. They're trying to make us someone to make capital for future, for our jobs, for all those sorts of things. But they not try to tell us that you have to inculcate these very integrate things like ethics and all those things. And when you don't have that opportunity to expose yourself to such conferences, so how will you get to know about these ethics devoid of your classrooms and devoid of our universities, and expand your horizon about what is really going in the world? Thank you, ma'am.
Are you a student?
Yes.
What are you studying?
International Relations and Governance Studies.
Oh, wow. What year?
First year.
First year. Amazing.
Thank you.
Good. I think that this is something like, yes, I've really struggled also with who defines learning, who defines education, who defines ethics as well, right? Because I do think that the last 8 or 9 years I've been doing this work, I've learned more, I've grown more, I've gained more than I ever have in a classroom. And like I said, I wasn't joking about being smart because I turned down the PhD, right? Be careful how much education you get into. But I think that every one of us is on an individual journey as well. And your journey is going to take you where it needs to take you. Have faith in that journey as well. Sometimes it is through education, and it is through, becoming a human rights lawyer or whatever it may be. Sometimes the work that we do, my sister is a scientist, she's a physicist, and she works on drugs and stuff, So we all have our role in impacting the world however we're supposed to, if that's the right word. And each of us as individuals have such amazing strengths and something amazing to contribute to the world. Just as much as you do, every single one of my kids has something amazing to contribute to the world, right? Hers might be drumming or, whatever it is, and yours might be international relations. But I think the more important thing is the fact that these lessons are around us and with us every single day. It's not just about setting up an organization or an NGO, it's about how do you treat your auto driver, your rickshaw driver, how do you treat the person who serves you coffee, how do you treat, as Geshe-la keeps saying, how do you treat your mother, how do you treat your parents, how do you treat people at home. And so I think that these lessons and ethics and everything is not just around, not just classroom learning and not just work learning, it's about finding the role models, whether we're fortunate enough to have teachers like Geshe-la or if it's somebody like His Holiness, whoever it is, to look at somebody and say, how do I walk down this path as a better person? And it's not just one day we'll wake up enlightened. I wish it was like that, but I guess it's not. If it worked for anyone else, let me know. But it is an everyday choice, and there's a million choices every day. There are a million choices every day. How you talk to somebody, how you treat somebody, those are choices that are with us every single moment of the day, right? And how do we make the most of those, because those lessons and those teachings are just in front of us all the time. The people that you struggle most with are probably your biggest gurus, right? So how do we take every single moment to learn and not just restrict it to like, this is the classroom learning, this is the work learning. Only if you have an NGO can you grow it. No, it's nothing like that. It's literally where you are, who you are right now, the lessons are in front of you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, thank you so much, all the three greatly inspiring individuals here. Thank you so much, and for your very inspiring talks, and particularly the sharing, the what's inside you. So had it been the case that people, they don't see you speaking, they may be wondering who these three guys are, and then now seeing you talk, they could feel your heart. So this is what we all are going to learn. So in that way, we see that again, the two of them are our teachers. And then again, once more, Mr. Pinzola, being able to convene such a conference to make people, the like-minded people, to come together and give the opportunity to the youngsters, young minds, the opportunity to be exposed to these things. Again, he's the teacher for us. Okay, it's not that I should become like a vice chancellor in order to convene a conference. I should not necessarily be the prime minister in order to convene international conference. I, as a student, I can, on my birthday, I can request my friends to come together. We'll speak on universal ethics. That's good enough. So this is how we can seek inspiration from Mr. Pinzola to convene conferences, to convene meetings about good things, and then to speak about what you learn from these two speakers, what you learn from the Professor the Ravindraji, how to take this to a global stage, to not just make it like a big compassion ghetto or a small community, but to really take it to the universal level, the world level. So these are all inspirations. You can share this, and we never know, the way the Robin just said, that we have our own journeys. Some may have a journey to take things on a large scale. Some may have a journey to really work on the ground to help the destitute people. Some may have the journey to really inspire each other. So that way we see that this panel is like the conglomeration coming together of the two-day conference, which were being so richly informed by all these presenters. And I'm very thankful to Mr. Pinzola for conceiving this idea of the Universal Ethics Conference, and Dr. Kaveri Gilji for making sure that all these experts are put together, and all these people on the ground who are working as role models who are working. So thank you so much. And particularly my thanks to all the students, the young minds here, for you to take interest, to sacrifice your Saturdays and Sunday, the weekends, and to make sure that you are here in the Ethics Conference. In a way, we see that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who is the great, great, great vision for the world, not only for the Tibetans, not only for the Buddhists. If I would say with great confidence that if we were to ask him, what is your preference, world or Buddhism? He would say world. World or Tibetan? He would say world. This is who he is. So we are in the world. So we should really say, when there's one person like say a star, say a bright star in the daytime is so rare. So today, in this world, we see that all the leaders, they are talking about their own ethnicity, their own country. My country's first. We the Americans first come first. So this is the attitude of most of the countries, the leaders. Whereas today we have in the daylight, where the star is most unlikely to be seen, we have His Holiness the Dalai Mr. Star there. So why not we give hands to him? How? Just see how much we can take initiative, the way in your own capacity. Say as a student, say on your birthday or on your friend's birthday. Okay, this is my gift for my friend's birthday. Let 2 of us come together, 4 of us come together, 5 of us to come together. For 10 minutes we'll speak on universal ethics. And then after that, happy birthday. Then cut the cake. Yeah, so this is what we can do. And then think of later on, the youngsters will be the leaders. and there see what change you can bring when you are there as a leader. So for that matter, you have to spread this message so that you can be leader or your friend can be leader. And when that happens, that there is something like universal ethics happening on the global level and on the national level. So this is our collective dream. Thank you.
Thank you to our chair and our panelists for a wonderful and inspirational session. May I now request the settlement officer of Majnu Katila, Kumu Phunzo La, to kindly honor the speaker and chair with a khata and souvenir. Our chairperson, Venerable Geshe Doji Tamdila. Venerable Lobsang Jamyangla. Professor G. Ravindran Ji. And Miss Robin Chaurasia Ji.